to another DorkLair action figure video. Today I'm taking a look at a very early pre-production sample of the Combatants Fight for Glory Brothers of the Slaughterhouse Thales the Minotaur. Huge shout out and thank you to Jeremy and the organizers of the ChrisCon convention, which was this past weekend, and they had on display at the convention some of these figures. XesRay had sent over some early samples of these things and they had them on display, and Jeremy said, hey, why don't you take a look at one? So I decided to take a look at the gray one, Thales. The other one is like the yellow orangish one. That's, I think its name is Nasos or Kasos or something like that. But yeah, so lucky me, I get another look at an early figure. Now this sample is much earlier production than the previous video I did with the, the dinosaur battlefield guys, because those are pretty much ready to go. I think they're making a few final tweaks. This is still, I think, a couple months away. Like they might be just now going to production, and then they're gonna finalize everything, and it sounds like they'll probably be out towards the end of the year, maybe like October, November in terms of these. So I apologize if it feels like, like a teaser or something like that, where, hey, look at this video, this figure's out, but it's not yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at mostly the sculpt and the construction of it. I think the paintwork is decent, but I think there's some work that they need to do on that, and some of the, I think there might be some improvements in the paintwork and stuff, but we can get a sense of the construction of the figure. I'm pretty sure the sculpt is all finalized at this point. Of course, the joints are not quite right on this one. The fits are loose, and this thing is kind of like barely like held together right now because, again, it is a pre-production figure, but I'll do my best to show you as much of this figure and its accessories as I can. My initial just main impressions are this thing has a presence, kind of like that dino I did the other day. This thing is badass, and I think the final piece is going to move really well. It's got some great points of articulation, like it's got these, shoulder butterfly joints. It's got the double jointed knees, and yeah, I think this thing's going to move really well, and it's going to be a great addition. I was kind of like lukewarm on the original Combatants. I had a couple from Wave 1. I didn't hang on to them, but this is another level. Starting up top with the head sculpt, it does have an articulated jaw, and I do like the shape of this bull head. It's pretty unique, and it feels very mythological, like the Minotaur in the labyrinth of Greek mythology. And I feel like the names like Thales or whatever his name is, like I feel like that has a Greek kind of sound to it. And this one has the horns up. The other one has horns pointed down, I think, the yellow one. And then you can kind of get a sense of the shape of the torso here. It has big arched neck and back to give it that kind of bull look. And he's a big, bulky dude. He's probably about 9 inches. We'll do the size in a moment. But as you can see, it's kind of falling over a little bit as I handle it because it's very loose. This is pre-production, so this is not meant to be a fully functional toy just yet. Nice, broad, muscular chest and torso. And you get some fur accents, but you also sort of get a sense of it being like a humanoid type of flesh going on here. And then you've got the mane that kind of carries over to the back, and there you can see those big deep butterfly joints. You can see the cut at the upper torso there, and then getting into the belt, there is some fur, so that's a nice little touch to have underneath there. Big old skull of some sort on the belt buckle there, and then these like leather-esque straps hanging down in a couple different layers. And then down into the legs, you can see those double jointed knees. The wraps on the legs, I believe those are removable. And then we have the feet, which are swappable. You can swap out feet and do hooves instead. Here's a nice zoomed out look at the Minotaur in a fully upright position, so you can get a sense of the silhouette and shape of this guy, who stands just over 9 inches tall, but 10 inches pretty much to the top of the horns. Height-wise, he's right in line with these other 9-inch figures. On the left is the Axie Toys T-Rex, which I reviewed very recently. That's coming out soon. And on the right is a pretty standard Mythic Legions Ogre scale. That is Bolthor the Tower, the half giant. And then here are a couple other Greek myth style figures. On the left is a Cyclops, that is Archimedes from Mythic Legions, and on the right is a Centaur, that is Apharius from Mythic Legions. Here we have on the left the Fury Toys Blade Master Wang. You can see he's like slightly smaller, but he's also a pretty big figure. That one just released, and I'm hoping to do a review of that soon. And on the right, we have the Death Adder from Storm Collectibles Golden Axe. Next up, to see how the Minotaur compares to a few Four Horsemen 1.0 builds, on the left is the Figura Obscura Monkey King, and on the right is the Mythic Legions Deltagar the Destroyer. I could absolutely see him facing off against this Minotaur. Next, we've got a couple Mezcos. We have Conan the Barbarian on the left with Kylab accessories, and on the right we have Conan the Conqueror, also with some Kylab accessories. Here we have some roughly 7-inch figures. On the left is Tiberius from Animal Warriors of the Kingdom by Spiro Toys, and on the right we have my kit-bashed He-Man on the Masterverse body with the Monster Machine Creations head sculpt painted by Eric Miller. And I love these turtles so much that I'm going to put them in probably every video for now. This is Raphael and Michelangelo from the NECA Target exclusive Mirage TMNT 4-pack. And of course, as always, NECA Elf. For accessories, he does come with a swap out pair of feet. So if you want to go with the hoof look for the Minotaur, that option is there. He does come with 4 total sets of hands. So right here we have a pair of fists, and then he has a pair of this hand, which is a gesturing open hand, and a pair of gripping hands. He does come with a second gauntlet. This was on the figure when I got it. I took it off for posing because this chain is like permanently on here with this spiked ball, which is really cool, but I hope that they consider doing it so that the chain is removable in an easy way, not just like bending the link, but like maybe just have this have an open end or something, just so that it's swappable. But it's pretty cool because it's supposed to be like wrapped all the way around his arm and stuff, and then he could kind of hold on to it a little bit, but pretty neat kind of accessory there. And then he comes with this massive axe that is got some cool details and lots of different paint applications there, so this is coming along really nicely. Very brutal weapon right there. Finally, for articulation, this is where it's going to get a little dicey. I'll probably just sort of show you the points of articulation by disassembling it and stuff, rather than trying to really show the range, because the way this is assembled, the parts come off very, very easily. And I have a hard time like figuring out where the range is, because they, as you articulated it, comes off, right? So what you have is a ball joint at the neck. So you have that double ball. And, you know, when it's in there, it can kind of go up and down and side to side, and then it can cock. But, yep, and then you have the jaw articulation. And then you do have a butterfly joint in the shoulder here, and I feel like it's not going back enough. I think maybe when it releases, it might have a little more range going backwards. This shoulder comes off very easily right now because it's just a straight cylindrical peg. That'll stay on, obviously, when the figure releases, hopefully. What they have is the sleeve style bicep assembly. So you slide the bicep over the elbow peg, and then the elbow peg pegs into the shoulder. And the shoulder has a hinge as well. And again, this thing is very sort of delicate, and it comes apart easy, so I apologize. This armor piece is also separate. And then you have the typical import style split ball and hinge type wrist articulation. For the upper torso, there is a double ball up there, and it's really hard to determine the range because that is one of the very loose parts, but it will go side to side and it will come front to back. It's just hard to tell what the range is going to be because as I slide it, it's just popping out of the socket right now. And there's also a ball joint at the waist as well, and I'll pull that apart so that you can see it. And there you have the ball joint at the waist, and you can get a look at the hips inside there. So you have a ball jointed hip, and so you can see the hips here, and the hips will kick forward and back, and it's well hidden, but there is an upper thigh swivel as well. Double jointed knees, and then you have a rocker and hinge at the ankle, but no exact twist, which would have been nice. And I wanted to try one swap here. It's a little on the bigger side, but you could make it work, especially if you use a bigger like cloth piece underneath. I think you could probably make this belt work on a Mythic Legion's Ogre Scale figure. So final thoughts here. Obviously, it's hard to judge a pre-production piece. So just really looking at the sculpture and the build and the construction of it, I think this is going to be a pretty big hit, this figure. And if they go with the same kind of plastic they're using here, it's a really nice, dense, heavy plastic. Everything feels great. The thing looks amazing. If you're into mythology, gladiators, and that kind of stuff, this is going to be a perfect one for your fantasy shelves. Anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, may the force be with you.